PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, the Star Wars podcast, featuring PLD and Matty I. May the Force be with you, always. Greetings, salutations, happy holidays from all of us here at the PLD Projects Network. We are here on this glorious day after Christmas, and we are here to celebrate the Skeleton Crew. We're here to celebrate Star Wars. We are here on Holy Snokes, which is the last show standing on PLD Projects right now. Every other show has been pushed back, rescheduled. I even took weeks off. I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm taking out Crown Jewels, even though I almost never take off a Crown Jewels because they're little 15-minute shows usually. I said, I'm going to take them all off. I'm giving myself a break. But not Holy Snokes, which is the last show standing. I am PLD. This is my good friend, my buddy, my hetero life mate, Matty Gunner. How you doing, my friend?
I'm very tired. As we mentioned, we were talking about off air. I spent all of yesterday and pretty much all of today sleeping.
Oh, nice. I wish I had that.
I saw a meme posted by our good friend Jilly Marie saying that these are the 4 days where you should absolutely strive to do fuck all. I took that to heart. I was like, I ain't going to do any work. I ain't going to do any music. The only thing I have to do is this. So I was like, what do I not do enough of? Sleep. So I just slept. And it even got to the point where I was writing out a draft message to Paul saying, buddy, if I'm not on StreamYard by this time, call me.
Call my ass.
Don't stop calling me until I pick up.
Oh man, I wish I had that. I know I'm getting older and older. I turned 48 this year, and I'm throwing it out there. And I don't sleep very well anymore, partially because I work, as most of you know, I work night shift for my real job, so to speak. And ever since then, I get 4 hours and 5 hours at a time. That's a lot for me, which is why I'm always tired. Not gonna lie, but when I do get that rare time where I get a lot of sleep, and I usually end up being more tired because exactly I think my body gets tricked and like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. I want more of this. And I have to retrain it a little bit before I can be functioning in society, as it were. Especially around the holidays, a lot of stuff going on in the holidays. Although I will say, for me, I didn't do as many. It wasn't as crazy a schedule as I usually have. We all decided this year. Kim and I decided to really do a very, very low key Christmas. I did work a little extra because I always work a little extra during the holidays. We always have a lot of overtime to fill. Emergency services, obviously. But we decided we did like a Christmas Eve brunch with my old man and my siblings. And then we did Christmas Eve together because I was going to work a little bit extra on Christmas. And we just kind of stayed home and chilled. And honestly, it's probably the best Christmases I've had in a long time. It was just very relaxing, no drama, no anything. It just kind of it was nice. It was nice. So I think we're going to try to do that again in the future. It's going to be our future. I
think that's the way to go. I saw a lot of my friends that were on Instagram. They were opening presents with their kids on Christmas Eve and stuff, and they'd be like, "Look, we're gonna do this tonight. Tomorrow, we're not gonna do anything. We're just gonna have dinner. We're just gonna chill. We're gonna do all the present opening stuff tonight. Get the mad rush out the way, so tomorrow we can just do nothing."
Jack all in it. It's so relaxing and so nice. I can't. I think we're gonna do this again in the future. I think that's our plan moving forward. I think as I get older, I'm kind of I just like the idea of not having to do a whole lot. It's just kind of a nice feeling. So I'll call people, I'll talk to them, I'll celebrate with them, but it is what it is.
I think as well, because your kids are starting to get a bit older now as well. So, they're going to be, off doing their thing. And, you're going to have this spare time yourself to talk about Star Wars with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Until Tyler's old enough to come on the show and tell us about what he's working on at Lucasfilm.
That's true. He might have to. Actually, I'm going to bring up Tyler later on because he mentioned something to me that I didn't even realize, which I was actually ashamed to admit I didn't realize it. But we'll get there. Skeleton Crew. That's what we're here to talk about. That's why we're here. We probably would have taken off a couple weeks for the show for holidays, but we have a show to get to, and a lot of people did take off the next couple of days. So like, I figure let's get this out there for some people who want Skeleton Crew. That's right, slackers they are. Slackers in general. And we are celebrating Skeleton Crew here on this channel because we love the show. Once again, I was pushed to text you or to DM you, even if like even though we don't usually do, we usually like to keep our thoughts to ourselves until we get on air to talk about it. And I just went, God, I love the show. God,
I don't like leaving you on red, but when I saw that, I was like, say nothing, no more. Just
I didn't need you to too. It was just one of those things I needed, like just to say that and go, I love this show. And I was very happy to do it. And this has been such a breath of fresh air, this show. And that is nothing against the Acolyte or whatever, but it's just like the discourse isn't the same. So it's just nice to kind of just be able to watch a show, be happy about it, and then move on to the next week. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite shows in the Star Wars universe. And some of my favorite characters are ready. Like we're only the 5th episode. And I will tell you right now, this is like spoiler alert. I think Jar Jar Nawat is probably my top 10 Star Wars characters of all time.
Wow.
Love him so much so far. That could change. It could slide out. But right now, top 10. I mean, I'm gonna have to rank this at some point. Maybe that's a future episode or a future episode of the show in between this and Andor season 2 coming out. But he might be. I'm having so much fun with this character. I know everybody's hashtag Neil Nation, and I love Neil, and everybody's like loves
hashtag Neil World Order.
Neil World Order again. I love the kids and everything else, and they're great. But Jude Law, acclaimed child actor Jude Law,
Jude Law, yeah.
Is fast becoming what I love about Star Wars. So let's get into the show. How we do this on Skeleton Crew on Holy Snokes is we take this show and we go through certain categories to kind of like pinpoint certain things before we kind of wrap it up at the end. Segments that we go through week by week, and what we have here is our first
failure to communicate.
Is a failure to communicate. What we have here in this segment, our first segment we always cover here, it's called Hondo Watch 2024, about to be 2025. This is actually the last time I can say Hondo Watch 2024. But this is a simple category. Has Hondo Ohnaka made an appearance, finally, in a show? We haven't seen them in a show since the series finale of Rebels. And we have changed from Hondo Watch to a DEF CON system. Matty, my friend, I'll let you break the news.
We're still at DEF CON 1. And we're running out of time. We got 3 episodes left.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. I will say there was a mystery. There's a mystery about who the captain is because we saw a hologram of the captain, but they were very specifically not showing us his face. Although it didn't sound like him, for sure.
Did you, because you wanted that to be your, that was your Force vision, right? Of you or your explore more lore. Yes. You wanted to know more about the captain.
Yes.
Are you satisfied with what we got?
Well, so far, I think we're not done. That's what I think. We're not done. I will say I was in a similar vein. When Jude Law, God know what said last week, said something to the effect of great Reddit's ghost. And I mentioned it last week, and I said, that's a great like exclamation or exposition, and we're never going to hear about him again. It's just kind of a nice thing to add to the Star Wars universe. I love it. And then we get the explanation this week. I was actually surprised, like, oh, that's who it is he's talking about. Awesome.
Yeah, we're getting it like a week after you asked for it.
I was surprised. I was actually surprised about that.
If we could get Hondo like the same way, that would be great.
Phenomenal. You know what? I'm gonna invoke my son now since we're talking about it. This is where my son came with an Easter egg. I didn't notice it, and I haven't looked for Easter eggs. I love Easter eggs, but I'm not very good at noticing them. What do you get if you spell Renaud backwards?
Renaud. Don't know.
RENNOD backwards is DONNER.
Donna.
as in acclaimed director of the Goonies, Richard
Richard
Donner.
Donner. Holy shit.
I was like,
wow.
That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
And your son picked up on that?
He did. He did.
I would be the proudest father.
I
just
was
like, that's my boy.
It was very
wow.
Yeah, I was very impressed with that. I was like, oh, very cool. Very cool.
I was like, that spells like Doner kebab with an extra N. But then I thought, oh, Richard Donner.
Yes.
And then, of course, we know that John Watts talked to Richard Donner in the development of the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, so that made me happy for sure. But going back to our segment here, Hondo Watch, yeah, he didn't appear. I don't know if he's going to appear. I gave up on it a little bit earlier already. I do think that Jad Janawad is actually the kind of Hondo archetype. Like, it's almost like if we had Hondo, it's almost like repetitive. I feel like Jad is playing that kind of role in a way, and he's our lead character. So if we have him, the only way we could get Hondo, I think, now would be a way to, this is what Jad would be if he did something else, like a comparison aspect. So you never know, but I'm kind of preparing myself that despite us going into the show saying it's a show about pirates, the greatest pirate is Hondo. And I will say Tyler and I both got offended when they were mentioning that Red was the greatest pirate of all time.
I'm like, that was ridiculous. That's
you put some respect on Hondo's name, my friends.
I think I would love for certain someone to be the person that plays Reynard, but I think I'm going to save that for my Force Vision.
Okay.
It would be so out of left field, but it would be so incredible to see.
I can't wait to hear it. All right, let's talk then. Our next segment, crew member of the week. This is where we talk about our favorite character of the week, whoever it is. A lot of people to choose from this week, I think. For me, I'm going to go right with, I just kind of spoiled it already. It was Jad. Jad had ups and downs, lefts and rights. I have a Force Vision that I'm going to be interested in talking to you about. I almost want to spoil it now, but I'm not going to. He was hilarious. This might have been the funniest episode of Star Wars TV we've ever had. Up there, just humorous moments left and right.
It's definitely up there. I don't think it I don't think it does, D Squad. I don't think it's still got to be a little bit there.
D Squad's unintentionally funny though. That's the funny thing. I think it's a little.
I don't think that's unintentional comedy. I think that's downright hilariousness. But I think it's definitely top 3.
Well, Jad has that. He has funny moments. He has serious moments. He has great moments with Wim, great moments with the kids, great moments with SM33, great moments with Pocket, who I loved. The whole thing, he just is a character that there's a mystery to him. They are slowly like giving us bits and pieces of him. Like sometimes mysteries, I think I mentioned this in a text to Ken afterwards. Ken and I do chat about the show, everyone, after the show, because we don't have a show together, so we can do that.
me and Ken talk about Oasis and fast food. We never talk about Star Wars.
That's fair. And we both had I told him in this text that and sometimes mysteries are done poorly, and they kind of like make you frustrated by the reveal or lack of reveal of stuff. This has not been that at all. This has been very much a fun mystery that they slowly are kind of giving it bits and pieces of, and you get more and more things of. And I've loved watching him grow. I've loved watching Jude Law, because Jude Law is having the time of his life. I remember an interview we watched or we read, I think I mentioned on the show, where he said his time in the MCU he played in Captain Marvel was not very fun because he didn't get a lot of chance to expand on him. Like, he didn't get the chance to like play with the character. Like, he was kind of given what to do, and they cut him down. He didn't sound too thrilled with it. Not that he was like,
I don't think many people were thrilled with that movie.
That's true.
I bring him up a lot. Kojima does love to do his big long essays when he reviews movies.
Mm-hmm.
His review of Captain Marvel was saw Captain Marvel. And I was just like, oh.
You know what? More people should do that, though. If they don't like something, maybe that's
just say you saw it. Just don't say it's not for you. Don't say you didn't like it. Just say, yeah, I watched it.
watch it. I actually liked a lot of it, to be honest. There's some parts of it I liked. I think it was overhated for sure to me, but I definitely see what Jude was talking about because he didn't get a lot of chance to play around. He's having the blast of the show. He's having a lot of fun. You can tell how involved and engaged he is, and he's just playing it up every chance he gets, and I'm here for it. So, what about you? What was your crew member of the week?
I am so happy to see Kelly MacDonald in Star Wars.
Yes.
I love Trainspotting. Like, I love that movie. So to see, essentially, Obi-Wan Kenobi's girlfriend pop up and she plays Pocket.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's awesome. But then just like, she has the kind of the suave, almost like scoundrelness that Jod has a little bit. Like, a lot of people compare him to Han Solo, but possibly just because he's a pirate and he's kind of cool. But she walks over. She's got like that swagger like demeanor, which is so different to her character in Trainspotting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you can tell she has a heart because she's saying to these kids, like, don't trust this guy. Like, do not trust him. But then she's the one that calls in the bounty.
Right. Of course. Yeah, she was great. Also, of course, Kelly MacDonald voiced Merida in Brave, so we got another Disney princess here, Star Wars. No, I loved her character as well. Loved the design. I believe she's an Umbar. They didn't actually officially say that.
No, they didn't say officially, but I'm willing to go out on a limb and say she is.
Yeah, I feel like Star Wars is getting a little bit loose with their like alien character designs a little bit. It's kind of like like Neil isn't F-Mon's species, but he's pretty close and seems like a very much Umbaran design, if not its inspiration. But
an Umbaran with a Scottish accent. Exactly. Where did that sit for you?
Didn't that one? I guess it didn't bother me as much because I'm going to clarify again.
Because Scottish accents. I'm guessing it's because Scottish accents.
Scottish accents are awesome. To you. I love Scottish accents. I love Scottish accents. I love them. I'm Peter Capaldi for Doctor Who. Perfect. But I think it's less about those. It's when if an alien is human-like, like the Umbar, they're very humanoid. I don't mind those voices like that. It's when the alien's a big hut-like creatures or like very alien that they don't look like they should sound like a human. It's when it's actually not even the accents that bother me. It's when they sound like a human. Like when a big hot character all of a sudden just talks like this from the Bronx. It's like, that's not your voice. That doesn't sound like it comes out of you. That voice, the Scottish accent comes out of the humanoid Umbaran type. That's fine with me. If the hot talk like that, that's an issue for me. But so I didn't bother. And I liked having her as well. She was fun.
I just like to gauge where you're at with the different accents, like throughout Star Wars now, because we've had Bostonian, we've had New Yorker, we've had like Scottish, we've had a bunch. So I just like to gauge where you're at with like each
humanoid is fine.
Accent.
Humanoid, if you're a humanoid character, you can say any accent you want. I'm all for it. Let's say because it's diversifying. I love it hearing different accents because we're in a huge galaxy. It should all be different in a way. Never bothered me. Just don't give me a big blob-like creature and make him sound like he's an 18-year-old from Puerto Rico or something. It just doesn't make sense. I don't get it, but I love the introduction of Pocket. I think it's just a fun character. I hope we get to see her more. She definitely seems like, again, I don't want to explore more lore, but she's definitely someone who I can see appearing in comic books and books and stuff and getting a little more from her. She also, of course, calls Jod another name. I want that to be a running gag. I want him to have like 50 names by the end of like his appearance. Like every time we see him with somebody calls him a different name. I want that to be the running gag because that's what it seems like it is so far.
Yeah. I think that's become like the thing that it's like he's got another name. Can I tell you, my heart almost stopped halfway through what she called him because she called him Dash.
Yeah.
I was like, if she's about to call him Dash Rendar, oh my god,
that would be fun.
Is he just like taking the names of these different like iconic scoundrels, Dash Rendar, Crimson Jack? Like he's just taking on all these different names. It's like next episode, are they going to call him Han Solo?
I would love that kind of thing. I don't think they'd ever go with Han Solo, but they would try and pick like the good like you get Kip Duran at some point, something like Legends characters, something like that. It's not
I think they would actually be kind of cool if they did call him Han Solo because then they'd look at him and be like, "You're not Han. What?
You gotta find him like I don't know, like a Lasat or something, and then call him Han and Chewie together. Like that, like that'd be kind of funny. Absolutely. But yeah, it was a great character. She jumped in there, smaller character, but had a lot to do with the show, or with the plot, moving the plot forward. And she was fun. I liked the design, everything about it. Good call. Good call. So. All right, next up, I Spec. This is our favorite line of dialogue we had, and I was gonna go with the humorous one. I tend to go with the humorous one. I always bite myself in the ass. Like I always like say a humorous line, but then I want to use that humorous line for my favorite humorous moment of the week too. So this week I chose a non-humorous line.
Okay,
this
excited as well.
This is my favorite line, and it's a long one, and it's a Jod line, and he says, "You have a powerful imagination. When you want to, you can see grand adventures even in a rotten galaxy like this. Remember, your focus determines your reality. You have vision. Embrace it. Make your life the one you want to live." It was, given what we see at the end, it's I kind of want to put a bookmark in this scene. Jod trying to be spaced out a little bit, not being very good at it, but then he kind of gets into it, has that dialogue. It was a beautiful moment, and exactly what Wim needed to hear at the time. And I think it's exactly what Jod needs to hear at some point too. And I think we're going to have something to do in the future. But something about that line, of that big long line of dialogue, really hit home about the character growing up. It hit home. It was the heart of Star Wars. The character, you get someone like Wim who dreams of adventure, dreams of like living life and everything else. They go and they face the world, and they have these setbacks, and they have these moments where it's not what they think it is. But you want to lose that hope that got you there in the first place, because you get crashed out, you get these things striking against you. You don't want to change. You're going to change, but don't lose that bit of innocence in there. And I think a lot of people, even today, could stand to hear that a little bit more, and give people grace, give people hope, give people just a little bit of hope. So that was my favorite line of dialogue this week.
Okay. Well, mine was in that. It was the hearing that your focus determines your reality again. That's a quote that I use in my in my actual life. I say that quite a bit. So I'm gonna take it to the inverse of that.
Okay.
Where he says, "Careful, Wim. This isn't one of your stories."
Ah, yes.
Which to me, I was thinking, oh, more Jedi platitudes. But he's going deeper with this. Like, is he like actually, maybe not a Jedi, but like, does he have some knowledge of the Jedi teachings? And then he said that. He said, "Careful, Wim, this isn't one of your stories." I was like, oh no, he is just.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Throw that out the window.
I think that like this is part of what I mean about them like doling out the mystery box things, like mystery bits and pieces, and like because we had on the beginning, like, this whole thing has been this has been a way to the whole central question about the show, or one of the big central questions about the show was Jod a Force user, or was he a Jedi? Right from the beginning, because we saw the trailer, they used the Force, and we're all like, oh, they did a good job cutting it down in the beginning. Like it could be string, it could be magnets, it could be whatever. We had the moment in the previous episode where he kind of goes, "I never said I was a Jedi," basically. But then I realized that he never said he wasn't either. And he's throwing lines of dialogue like that. I'm kind of like, this is someone who has had Jedi training, I think, or at least has had someone who had Jedi training imparting wisdom on him. I feel like it's like you have the focus determines your reality. You have the talk about attachments specifically. He specifically uses the word attachments.
Is that attachments? Yeah.
And it kind of feels like I don't know for sure, and this might be part of my Force vision, but a little bit. But it's kind of like I got a feeling we're gonna find out something about his past that he definitely had at least a run in. I don't think he was an Order 66 survivor. I don't think that matches up. I don't even think he was a Padawan there even. He could be younger than you think. Humanity is always kind of weird in a galaxy far, far away. But he could have grown up. He could have been born around the end of the Clone Wars, try to grow up in an era where there was no Jedi. Maybe he ran into Quinlan Vos. Maybe Quinlan Vos got him through the hidden path at some point, and he like learned some bits and odds and ends. And maybe something happened to him. But at the same time, I think he's also a hopeful kid. I think he connected with Wim this way. I think the hopefulness of it is he has a potential to see himself a little bit in Wim back in the day, and something happened that was tragic, and it's not one of your stories, but don't lose your hope either. I think something there's stuff going on with that we're going to find out.
Let me drop this on you, and then I'll drop it because it's not my force vision. But he knows these old pirate tales, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows all these old pirate stories. He also knows all these Jedi platitudes.
Mm.
Let me leave a quote with you. My best friend was a Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll get that.
Who do you think he could have learned them both from?
We'll get there. Yeah, we could definitely get there. That could be something. Yeah.
The greatest pirate to ever live.
That's true. The greatest pirate ever lived. I do like the idea, though. Speaking of that, I do like the Hondo idea. I do like but I also kind of like the Quinlan idea too, because Quinlan's the kind of guy who would definitely teach him some stuff and like be a rogue Jedi, learning from like the next generation of a rogue Jedi would be somebody who's a little even more rogue and lives his life in a pirate way, pirate's life for him kind of thing. Because if anybody was a pirate Jedi in the old days, it definitely would have been someone like a Quinlan Voss kind of thing, like adventuresome kind of like.
I think you're missing a big one, but we'll save the force vision. We're going into force vision territory, but there's one that as you were saying that, I was like, there is another.
There's another.
Okay.
Okay. All right. What's up? Next up, we got Put That in Your Holocron and Snoke It, or Explore More Lores. We take something from the episode and we decide we want to see more of it, whether that be in a future episode, whether it be in a comic book, a movie, a game, a short story, whatever, a movie, whatever you want to do. I'll let you go first. What do you want to see? What do you want to see more explored?
Who turned a pirate cave into essentially the Four Seasons?
Great question. That's a great question. That's a wonderful question. And how did it happen? Like, do they even know about it? Because I don't even know if they know about it. That's the amazing thing. They know about it.
I will say I did think it was cool seeing a bunch of Mune in the spa pools. So maybe it was we got the mention of the banking clan. Maybe it was the banking clan that set it up. But I just want to know like whose idea it was to what was the name of the mountain again? It was like Skull
Ridge or Skull. I don't remember what it was necessary, but it was
Skull Ridge Mountain. I think.
I think that might be it. Yeah.
I just remember hearing it, thinking that's cool.
Yeah.
But then you get there, and it's like this, like almost Iceland, Blue Lagoon style resort with like hot pools and everything. I was just like, whose idea was that?
Kind of off topic a little bit, but related. Did you see Molly Damon's tweet? She tweeted a picture of one of the Munes in the hot springs. Plagueis waiting for Kumir.
That's good.
I loved it. So anyway, but no, that's a great idea. Like I'd love to see more about it. Yeah, because we don't even know necessarily how long it's been, but it's been a while, obviously. And what do they know? Did someone do this to cover up the treasure? Was this way to cover up the treasure? I don't know, but I'm definitely interested to see more as well, for sure. For me, I kind of went through a couple more. There's more characters this week. Pocket was one of them. I do want to see more from Pocket, but I really want to see more from. I don't even know how to pronounce the name. Thalops, the big alien creature.
Essentially Cthulhu.
Basically Cthulhu. Basically Cthulhu, but a nice. Cthulhu.
PJ Campbell loved that.
Oh, absolutely. I love the trope. My Tyler said it to me. He loves the trope where like this big alien creature. You're like supposed to be. You're really intimidated. But then like you leave and you come back and you find out he's like just a good, cool, chill dude. Big monster like out with beard. Yeah, tell me a story. Yeah, tell me a story. I love it. Tell me more. He's like hanging out with the kids and everything else. Like this big
I love that moment. I loved it. Where he just comes running in and they're just sitting there next to the whole episode. I was like, okay.
Good time. Okay. I love that trope too. It's like the really big, intimidating creature, and then they're like really soft, like a.
Because from the trailer, it looked like it was like they ran into his lair or something, but no,
it was it looked like a typical bad scenario. They're gonna see a monster, they're gonna beat up a monster. Nope, he's just gonna chill and hang out, and all's good. He helps him get to the underground levels without any thought of reward or anything. So,
and he's also like, kids don't trust him.
Yeah. It's true. keep saying that. Everybody kept saying that, and everybody kept saying that for sure. So, all right. Next up, seen a lot of action. These are our favorite action beats of the episode. Go ahead, Matty. I'll let you go first on this one.
I loved the temple, I could just say Indiana Jones-ness of the.
Oh yeah.
When they're in there and they see the vat of acid and they're like trying to work it out, and they're like, you got to sacrifice, the most important thing, kind of what is best in life.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, we're talking about life. We have to sacrifice one of the lives.
Right.
And then Jod just goes, no, this is a pirate we're talking about. He wants gold.
Yeah, a lot to learn about pirates.
And you think because he threw down all the Republic Dietaries at the desk to be like, get them away from us.
Right.
But no, he's still got the one.
At least the one. That's right.
So you're just like, he's been holding out on this one the entire time, just in case. And then he throws it into the acid. And I loved it when they were looking at the hologram and he goes, you got access to this system? Fill the chamber back up.
Right.
And you don't see it. But like you just hear the screams in the background and you're like, oh, that's what's happening.
Yeah, there were a couple of times I'm kind of like, I keep invoking Tyler. Tyler's like, oh, it's a great kid show. That and the other one when you saw the spiked on the top of the ceiling and the gravity thing, and the guy goes up, and you don't see it. You hear, and you see the caption. It says like flesh squelching or something. Like, it's like, yeah, no, that was actually mine too. I'm gonna go with that as well because I'll go with the different part. My specific favorite booby trap was the decapitation one, the penitent men shall pass moment. But like decapitation, what? Over the top of their heads. Just lucky they're so short.
Yeah, I was gonna say the kids didn't even have to move, but Jod was like, whoa.
Such great moments. So fun. So much.
I would have loved if like a bit of Wim's hair got singed.
Mm-hmm.
That would have. I think that would have been a pretty cool moment.
I think I can kneel specifically. He had a hair sticking up or something.
Oh, dude, action moments. Let's talk about the. I keep thinking because like the intros go so quick.
Yeah.
We don't talk about them a lot.
That's
but
true.
the moment where Wendell is like walking up to put the device into his console and he keeps like looking over at the droid and the droid's like noticing him. My heart was pounding. I was like, oh my God, he's going to get caught. He's going to get caught. He's going to get caught. And then he does get caught. But who gets turned over to, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was nice. That was a great one when Fair. I was like, forget this, erase your memory and shut down. It's like, oh, sweet, nice. Okay, good to have friends in high places. Yeah, that was a great tense moment. They've done a good job of like kind of slowly every once in a while going back there and like just drip dropping some stuff there. They're trying to do something and trying to get to the supervisor or away from the supervisor. I guess they kind of understood that Farrah seems to have understood that the supervisor is not going to help them if there is a supervisor. Which we'll talk about.
I keep thinking that they're doing that intentionally, just to be like, okay, here's what's going on with them. Okay, now forget about it. This is what's going on over here.
Yeah. And it works. I think it works well. I think it's a good story structure, actually. Instead of like, because you could put it in the middle of the episode, but I feel like that kind of slows it down. Like I feel like that kind of like just takes it away a little bit. Get it right, boom, right away. Then here's the rest of the kid's adventure or whatever, which is cool. I think it's a good way to do it. I really do. All right, we get the action bits. We'll talk more about that as we get into the rest of the show. Let's move on to our next segment, which is Laugh It Up, Fuzzball, our comic moments, our favorite humorous moments of the week. There's a bunch. There's a bunch.
So many.
I'll start with one. I think we can go back and forth a couple ones this week, honestly. The first one I'll start with, the hut. We get to see the hut.
Oh, yeah.
It comes. He started eating. And the attendant goes, oh, no, not again.
He's like, not again, sir. Please, not again. You're like, did this dude get, like, has he been eaten multiple times?
Like, that's what I don't understand what's going on here. Is he just lick them clean or something? I don't know what it is, but like, again, off camera, but perfectly done. It just kind of goes up. You're like, oh, that's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I love that.
I love the ongoing bit of the wise elders.
Yeah.
To the point where John's like, oh, no. They don't speak basic. I have to translate. And you can literally tell they're like, blah, 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 just like making random shit up. And then he goes to the hostess at the front desk. And she's like, what about the wise elders? And he just looks and they're just horsing around like kids. Just like playing with the sleeves and stuff. He's just like, oh my God.
John as space dad who is just tired of everything. I've never been more seen. I have been there and kind of like later on they're jumping on the bed.
They're jumping on the bed. Yeah.
There's pirates coming. We have to what let's see. Another one I had the beginning, they get to the planet and they're flying through and they see the pleasure yachts.
Oh, yeah.
And then SM-33 goes, who do you think they are? And SM-33 goes, a cavalcade of fearsome, bloodthirsty buccaneers, no doubt.
And John just starts laughing. He's like, those are pleasure yachts.
I'm going to actually bring it forward. Just SM-33's basic disgust at everything that's going on. How did they... And every time he has because he gets the
restraining bolt. Oh, restraining bolt put on where he reaches forward.
You're trying to every time to knock it over. Every time I was like, this is so good.
Do you know who he kind of reminds me of Bender from Futurama?
Yeah, I can see that.
If Bender was a pirate.
Yeah, I can see that. Oh God. If you have another one, go ahead. If you have
go for it.
One more, I gotta say, I really again, I talked to Ken about this. Is the one that made us both laugh our ass off. It's so perfectly done. It was the lightsaber moment.
Oh God, yeah, that was
you see it coming, where John's there, and John has turned on them, and has Fern by the throat with the blade, and Wim's gonna take care of it all. We saw the lightsaber earlier on as they got to the thing. He grabs the lightsaber. Takes his pose, and you're like, he looks like he's going to make his moment, be his young Luke Skywalker, turns it on, it's upside down, and he loses.
You say that. You say it's upside down. Luckily, shout out to the people in the Thank the Maker Discord. I can't remember who it was in there that said it. It looks like it's double-sided.
Oh, okay. I didn't see
because the ends of it, the top goes over, and it's mirrored on both sides.
Oh, is it? Okay. I didn't really notice that, to be honest with you. Okay.
If it was single-bladed, it would have cut off at the bottom end. Right. So I'm thinking Wim just pressed the wrong button. And it also looks like a Temple Guards lightsaber. Like an old High Republic Temple Guards lightsaber. And they're traditionally double-sided.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a very good point. I wish I had a chance. I didn't only had a chance because of the holidays and everything to only get the chance to watch it once through. I usually try to watch it 2 or 3 times, and that's probably something I would have caught up on.
I'm completely taking it from someone else's thing that I'm going to take credit for. But
I have the video on in the background. I was trying to do that while we're watching in case I didn't, something I happened to be at that moment. Yeah, it does. It really does look like it's true. So it could be double.
But it's still hilarious. Like he just presses it, and he's there so confident, and you're even thinking like, oh damn, Wim's about to actually like have his Jedi moment, and then he just throws it. Like, what if that had hit like Neil?
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Cut off a part of Neil's trunk.
Absolutely. I will say though, on the Temple Guard thing, I believe, if I'm correct, and this could be me getting old again, all the Temple Guards lightsabers are gold though, aren't they? They are yellow, gold and white. Yeah, so this is a blue lightsaber. So I don't know if there was a monkey wrench into it at all, but potentially it still could be double-sided. But it's interesting lore. Again, that would be more lore to explore. Obviously, whose lightsaber is this? Where did this pirate get this lightsaber from? Hondo has an affinity for lightsabers. Anyway, so.
Oh, dude, before we go, one last one. The end bit where Wim goes, I got it. And he hits the trap.
Yes.
And they just go down. I'm just like, was that a great idea?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like it could be.
It goes back to his thing, his affinity for he has to press buttons.
Yeah. It's funny. Although I got to tell you, what is funny about it to me is that it does look a little reminiscent of Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom. We have Mola Ram has that thing, and he had like a little trapdoor exit underneath his throne or whatever, in a way. So kind of like I think it almost is supposed to remind you of that potentially. I don't know,
And
maybe
the fireplace in the Goonies.
right the fire exact that kind of thing. So it's never know. I think it's going to be a good idea, but we'll find out for sure. And the whole thing was funny. I mean, the whole thing was funny. So let's see. I guess that's it for the Laugh It Up Fuzzball comic moments of the week. Let's go to. I'm going to jump forward. Let's go to Force Vision. And then we'll talk about the rest of the show. I'm doing a parsec rating.
Okay.
Force Vision. I'm going to say it right off the top here. Hashtag, I still believe in Jod.
Okay.
I still believe in Jod. My wife actually believes more than I do. My wife, Kim actually said, he's got a plan. He's got a plan. This is all something. I don't know.
Jude will do that. Jude will do that.
That's true. I could fix him. I could save him. But no, what I'm saying by that though is I don't think his turn. I think his turn was real. I think he meant to do that. Become a traitor. I think that actually was legitimate. I think we're going to see an extended Han and Chewie from A New Hope. He's going to do the bad thing. He's going to go away, and then he's going to have a battle of conscience, and he's going to come back and save the day. And that's the big thing. I really honestly think that he's turned on them. He's trying to be a traitor. He's trying to be the old Jod. He's trying to be the old pirate. But when he gets far enough away, or he's going to see them in danger, or he's going to get... I think SM-33 is going to be Chewie. And SM-33 is going to say something, and Jod's going to come back and save the kids from something. And be like, he's going to do it very begrudgingly and very much whatever. And Fern's going to still be pissed at him. Everybody's going to be pissed at him. And Wim's going to be like, I knew you had it in you kind of thing. I knew you were still a Jedi or something like that. I'll say at the end, I'm not a Jedi, but I could be. Something that, kind of thing, like he's going to be better for at the end of the time. Not something he's going to change his character 100%. He's not going to become Luke Skywalker, but he's going to become like a swaggering pirate who still likes his money, but it's the Hondo moment. It's the Hondo, I would do anything for that boy moment. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. And I have a feeling that's what we're going to get drawn out to say. And I do believe that Jod, I think we need to have him go down a little further in our estimation in order to have that moment at the end or towards the end where he really saves his day. We've got 3 episodes left. I think the kids are on their own next episode. I think Jod's on his own next episode. And he's either going to come back during the second to last episode or the end of next episode before we have some kind of big finale on that. And that's my call. So that's my Force Vision. I think that's what we're going with. What about you, my friend?
I thought something similar, but then I thought we have a shot from the trailer that we haven't seen yet of we know where this planet is now, but the X-Wings showing up on that planet. I'm wondering if Jod gets in a little bit over his head and Whim convinces the crew to save Jod. And that's when Jod's like, oh, these kids, they've stuck their necks out for me a few times. I'm going to help them. I'm going to help these kids get home.
That's actually a great idea that didn't pass my mind because it does fit in very well with the time when he has that, when we saw Kim and they had that conversation on the ramp when they were the kids were trying to grill him and he basically went, I'm like you. I'm alone. He has nobody. He's always been betrayed. He betrays everybody because he's always been betrayed himself. He's never had him like that. So to have somebody come and save him would be a new experience for him. Yeah. So that's actually a good idea. Having the kids save him and have him go, wow, this is what that feels like. And I gotta save them now. Jesus. Fine, let's go.
That could be like the moment that he turns and realizes what he's truly meant for. Because maybe the pirates show up and either way, he's gonna get turned into someone, be it the New Republic or the pirates.
Right.
And it's gonna be down to the kids to save him. And then he's like, you save me by the pirate code, I have to serve my captain. I have to serve you. I have to.
And Whim's going to be able to step up.
Yeah.
Whim's going to be able to step up. He's going to have to talk to Fern because Fern's not going to want to do it. And KB probably won't want to do it. And Neil just wants to go home, I think. So I think Whim's going to be like, no. Because what is Whim? Whim is the most, not adventurous. He's the one who believes in these stories the most. And what WWLSD, what would Luke Skywalker do? Kind of thing in his head. What would he do? And the hero of the story would not let somebody go down, even if he did fail him, even if he did betray him. The good news is not going to let the pirates kill him. I love that idea. I do love that idea. I think that could be a good way to do it. It'd be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see for sure either way.
Now onto my thing that I was going to bring up to you earlier.
Okay.
You mentioned pirate Jedis.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm blanking.
You forget one Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, he did go that route for a bit anyway, pretty much. Kind of like is in between era.
What if he ran into
Kanan?
Kanan.
Could be, but I kind of feel like I like and dislike it at the same time. I like it because you're right that Kanan has lived that life, so it makes sense that he would go.
Because I don't see Quinlan giving up a Padawan. Kanan was very much like he stepped away from being a Jedi, so he could have been like, this kid's got the Force. Like, I don't want to train you, but
the problem I have with that theory, and again, it happens. I think Kanan would never even touch the Force. You saw a kid with the Force, he'd be kind of like, I'm done with the Force. I'm not doing the Force. So he would like not even start training him. I don't think Quinlan would take the kid onto the Padawan. I think Quinlan would journey with Quinlan for a bit, like maybe in the path, and Quinlan would like notice the kid at the Force and like kind of like teach him a few tricks or teach him a few things. Look, kid, you wanna survive out there? You have a gift. Do this, do that. Like not like a long definitely not Padawan, but something like he tag you around with during a hidden path journey. He's like, and Quinlan can't help himself. He's like, I'm gonna give him a couple clues. I see he has the Force. He's got to live. So kind of thing.
I've also just had a light bulb moment. Who else was a Jedi Padawan that got given up to pirates? That we've been wondering why Lucasfilm had brought her back. Ventress.
Ventress could definitely.
Ventress was a Jedi Padawan. She was given up to pirates. If there's one person that's going to be like, hey, look, I'll train this kid, but then he's on his own.
Are we getting Jod in animated form later? A young Jod in animated form later on? Potentially.
Tales of Ventress, whatever. If we get like another Ventress meaning, another like Ventress mention.
Yeah.
Because we've been wondering why they brought her back.
Right. Well, we don't know yet, technically. I mean, they did bring her back for a reason. They've mentioned that a few times. So that could be very interesting. That could be very interesting and intriguing to throw that all around. Oh, wow. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I like it. I like a lot of these ideas. That's a show. That's the sign of a good show. You have all these like theories, and all of them are like could happen or could not happen. But either way, you'd be interested in seeing almost any of them work. You're like, oh, I can see that. I love that.
My main one is we're going to spend a lot of next episode. I think Jod's going to be like trying to hunt them down, and they're going to be trying to like dodge him, kind of like not Michael Myers, but like there's a crazed pirate with a lightsaber chasing us. Like we need to get away from him. And then they end up having to go from running from him to having to save him.
Interesting. I don't.
Go on.
I have a hard time seeing that. I think Jod's character right now is nothing more than. I don't think he cares about. Like the idea is he doesn't want to hunt them down. He's like, all right, they're gone. I got the saber SM. Let's go. We'll get the ship. Go to the ship and go to Ad. That's. I'll leave him there. He's not one to like. He's not very vengeful. There's no reason for him to like really kill them. I mean, they know who he is, but they don't know that. They don't even know the coordinates. So like they know Ad. He has the coordinates because he has SM-33. He has everything he needs. So at this point, he's kind of like. Now he is alone. That's why I think your other theory could come true that way. I think he's alone, and I think they're both going to be. I think the kids are going to try to go to the ship. They're going to try to go to the ship at the same time he is because he's going to try to get to the ship. And then at some point, I think he doesn't make it to the ship, and the Brutus gets him or something like that, or they want someone to get him, and that's when the kids have to decide to either chain to save him or whatnot or whatever. Or they can get there, maybe he takes off without them, and he sees that he takes a look down, and the pirates have the kids.
Have the kids, yeah.
And that's the end of the show, end of the episode, and next week he's like halfway to that, and he's kind of like, and he goes back to get the kids from the pirates, kind of thing. Only to that effect, potentially. Either way, could be really cool. A lot of Force Vision stuff this week. I kind of like it. I like it a lot. So, all right. Next up, we got Adventure of the Week, which is basically talking about anything else we didn't talk about. Although I think we hit a pretty grand amount of things. We talked about the beginning. We talked about the arrival on Lanupa. We talked about Swedes discussed. We talked about the mud pits and the different Canto biteness of the spas, the richness of the spas, the bank plan. Lots of great aliens in here. Some Moon, some Biff in the background there.
Oh yeah, there was some Biff, huh?
Yeah, there's a couple different like characters in there that our species that I've seen. Skeleton Crew has done a great job with deciding they don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like a lot of Star Wars shows sometimes feel like they have to reinvent the wheel and create a new alien species every time. It's like, oh, just you have like 1,000 species in Star Wars already. Most of them in there that we know. Like it's kind of nice to see some different. Like, oh, cool, Beth. Oh, cool.
We could take the Tony Gilroy approach and just not use any at all.
That's true. Well, that's your Feely and Keely. I don't remember their names now. The ones who are fishing.
yeah. God, I hope there is season 2.
I do too. I hope they are as well. It'll be fun. But yeah, I think unless there's anything else that you had to talk about, we haven't. I mean, we talked about the booby traps and some of the cool parts there, the finding things. I mean,
I wanted to bring up to you the kind of something I've seen a lot of people talking about of like this show is doing more of a job of going back to what Star Wars was traditionally, of paying homage to the things that influenced Star Wars, as opposed to just doing an homage to Star Wars.
Right.
I think this show is doing a really good job of bringing that into the modern day, because obviously George wouldn't have been influenced by the Goonies. George wouldn't have been influenced by E.T.
Right.
Because these are all things that came after.
Right.
I just wanted to get like your perspective on that.
I think it's fine. I think it's something they should be doing. It's just that the creators are going to. It's tough to ape your own show without being just a bunch of nostalgia. You can't like do more Star Wars that's inspired by Star Wars, because that's what you're doing. And it kind of becomes tired if you do it too much. So for creators who grew up in that time, they're doing what Lucas did. Lucas inspired by things that he grew up on, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, all this stuff, Dune, all that stuff. Whereas the creators now are inspired by Star Wars, but they're doing Star Wars. They're going to take in what they grew up with: the Goonies, E.T., a lot of Spielberg, Amblin type stuff, Indiana Jones, that kind of thing, pirate adventures like Hook and things like that. It's all stuff that they grew up with. So I think that's exactly what the secret sauce is you take your creators, take what inspired you, kind of cook it, make it your own, add it to the Star Wars, mixing bowl. And that's what we get these days. And some people don't like that. Some people think it's like, I think that's where some people struggle. And it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like Star Wars anymore to me. Well, Star Wars is such a different thing now. It's a big thing for everybody. And it doesn't need to feel like, it doesn't need to be Star Wars. Star Wars is evolving. And that's a good thing, I think. We can have a show like Andor and a show like Skeleton Crew going on back to back. And they're completely different. Same with like even the anime. We had a show like the Clone Wars, which season 7 had like some of the biggest, like heartbreaking, dark moments in all of Star Wars. And we have a show like Resistance. Like, it just shows that the
Young Jedi
Adventures, a great one. You can have them all work and they can all somehow be Star Wars. And it doesn't say you have to like every version of it. And some things are going to be more for you than others, and that's okay. But it's not like because we're not getting 3 movies every 20 years. I mean, if it was 3 movies every 20 years, it has to feel kind of similar to what you want it to feel like. That's what you're going for. We have all these different ways that we're expanding out and doing shows, and this is the way to do it, to expand it out without getting completely tiresome. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss, and for whatever reason. And I'm happy we're getting more. So
it's like I heard, this was a while back. I'm going a while back now. Robin Williams doing an interview about Mrs. Doubtfire. And he said the reason he thinks people love it so much is because it's a really great drama, but then they had the jokes written on top.
Yeah.
Like they wrote a really great drama first, with like the character of him and his wife and the kids, his divorce, him finding his way back on his feet. Then they added the jokes on top of that.
Yes.
I feel like this show's done a really good job of like writing a really good kids pulpy adventure pirate show, and then throwing the Star Wars on top of it.
Yeah. You know what? I think this is a little bit of a reverse of what things. A lot of times people will start with Star Wars and then try to add stuff to it. This one did the other way around, and I kind of think it's an interesting way to do it for sure. I actually like what you're saying about that.
And I think Andor's very similar because
I agree.
Andor reminds me a lot of shows like Severance and Succession and these like real big drama pieces.
Right.
And then Tony Gilroy's just gone, all right, add your stuff. I've done my part, like add your Star Wars stuff in now.
Right, exactly. And that makes sense. That makes sense to do it that way for them. Yeah, I think that's why they're so successful that way. It's because it's something that's important to the creator, and then you put it in a Star Wars world, you add that kind of Star Wars stuff. And it's not saying that Star Wars isn't important, but it's nice to add to the mix, so to speak. I like what they're doing with that for sure. So
yeah, it's because it's surprising me, like even seeing some of the people that we consider bad actors are loving this show.
Yeah.
And that is surprising to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't absolve them of other things, but it's just seeing some of these people like genuinely loving this show.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Really?
There's got to be something to, and I think it's that. I think it's that they've written, like John Watson, everyone involved has written like a really great adventure kids series.
Absolutely.
And then they've just gone, right, everything's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Put it on top.
I love it. I love it for sure. So, all right. We'll end up the wrap up of this episode review of Skeleton Crew. We do have some news to talk about afterwards. Parsecs out of 11, because we always rate things on a scale of 1 to 11 here on PLD Projects. What do we rate this episode of Skeleton Crew? Matty, go ahead and go first.
9.
I'm giving it a 10. 10. Loved it. This is my favorite episode so far. This is definitively in. If I had to do a ranking of Star Wars episodic TV that we've had, this is probably top 5. Close to it. Top 10, definitely. Maybe top 5, because I'm loving it so much. I said at the top of the show, this is like such a breath of fresh air to me. And I'm someone who liked The Acolyte. I like The Acolyte, but I loved this. Feels like we're getting something that we haven't gotten from Star Wars in a while. They've remembered the fun, the swagger. Like, for example, I love Ahsoka. I enjoyed Ahsoka a lot. I enjoyed Obi-Wan. Some people, those are hit and miss for some people, and I get that. But I feel like one of the big drawbacks for those shows for me was they kind of forgot that humorous side of things a little bit. Comparatively.
Little Naughty would beg to differ.
What was that?
Little Naughty would beg to differ.
I'm not saying everything. But I'm saying, like, it feels like this show has effortlessly like combined the humor, adventure swag, and like that kind of mix that Star Wars at its best always was. For me anyway. Again, not even a slight to these shows, but I want to say this right here is one of my favorite Star Wars TV shows for that reason. And those shows, I love to see Ahsoka season 2. I'd love to see Obi-Wan season 2. I hope we get them. But I just, for whatever reason, this is really hitting for me.
My thing is, I don't want Disney and Lucasfilm to see the success that this is having and be like, oh, this is what we need to do going forward every time. Like, this is like, people love this stuff the most. This is what we need to do every single time. Because then you're just going to have like rehashes and like, it's not going to be as special.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I'll say this because we already luckily have Andor being critically successful and being a zeitgeist thing. So like they know that can work. What I do like about Skeleton Crew aspect is that we are getting an idea that we don't have to make every show based on something we know, a character. We don't have to have it Obi-Wan Kenobi. So like a lot of Star Wars besides Andor and Skeleton Crew have all been based on like we are taking this slice at Andor, to be honest with you. This slice. Okay, what happened before Rogue One with this character from the movie? What happened with this character from the movie? What happened with this character from the show? Star Wars, Ahsoka, Star Wars. At its best, like Mandalorian was better because it introduced the Mandalorian on its own. The first season of Mandalorian, nothing connected until it did. And that was what's cool about it, because I'm a connectivity guy. You know that. You know how much I love when they connect things, right? But Mandalorian didn't really connect till season 2. When they had that established, all of a sudden the connections were even better later on. They brought Luke in. They brought in all these characters from the New Republic type characters, whatever. Same thing here. Skeleton Crew, they are doing such a great job establishing this little slice of the galaxy. if there is a season 2, or we do bring these characters somewhere else, and then they do run into like Din, or they do run into Ahsoka, or even Luke. If Wim gets to meet Luke Skywalker, imagine Wim getting to meet Luke Skywalker. Like that's the kind of thing that's like really cool. That'd be really cool. But we're getting to take this angle first and really establish itself. So that Disney should take. I'd love to see Disney take. Look, let's create something that's really appealing, new characters, etc. Like give it its own space to breathe, and then bring in other things at that point.
I think I kind of misspoke in that. I mean, like, don't use this as a template to be like, okay, now we just have to create fun, whimsical
kid adventures,
like kid adventure shows. Like, just because this is successful, this is the one that like unites the fandom seemingly.
Right.
Like, doesn't mean you have to copy and paste.
I agree, especially
every project going forward. I don't want the Lando series, the Lando movie, to be anything like this.
Oh no, not at all. Actually, no. Honestly, I disagree a little bit.
Little bit. Maybe that was the wrong example to use.
Yeah, because Lando being a more adult version of this to a degree, in a way. A bumbling adventure where he gets himself over his head. Yeah, exactly. Star Wars should be. No, I agree. I do think that the idea that I don't want them to get pigeonholed. I agree with that aspect.
That's it. Yeah.
For example, and I don't think they will. Although I do worry. The one thing about it is that this is getting loved by most people and even amongst the fan base. However, that being said, some of the appeal and the reason why it's getting, I think, less hate from certain fans is that they are able to dismiss it. Well, it's a kid's show. It's more of a kid's show, even if it's not, but they're able to kind of go, it's more of a kid's show. It's aimed at kids. And I'm not going to complain too much about it. Whereas those people will definitely take to ground anything. If Lando tries to be this, and the adult version of this, they're going to be kind of like,
I actually haven't seen a lot of people dismissing this as a kid's show.
I've seen a few. We'll
there's a couple, but like, it seems like this is the one that's like bringing balance to the fandom.
A little bit. I think I think you're not entirely wrong, but I think there is perhaps some overestimation of that as well. I think there's some sleeping giants. Let's put it that way. They're just kind of like, I'm not going to worry about that one. That one's definitely not meant for me. So we'll find out, though. We'll find out more. And I'm happy we're here. That's all I got to say. I'm happy we're here. So, I love this episode. A great episode. I can't wait for next week. I've got 3 more episodes left. And we'll be back next Thursday to talk about that episode, the next episode for sure, as we are this week. But before we go, I do have a couple of bits of news I want to talk about that I curated either from Star Wars News.net or from other sources as well this week. The first one I want to talk about, I'll get you comments on. This is not an official announcement, but it did kind of leak in some areas. But it was a leak from Penguin Random House UK. On their website.
That's the book company.
Yes. There is a Bad Batch novel reportedly being released in August of 2025 called Bad Batch Sanctuary. It got a title on that site. Has not been officially announced by Lucasfilm, Star Wars. It's kind of just dropped in the schedule. I love the idea because we're getting more Bad Batch. I love the Bad Batch. You know how much I love the Bad Batch. I love the idea of getting things from like the Bad Batch's perspective, like getting more in depth with like, I don't know, like Hunter, Wrecker. Force Center actually talked about this on their last episode. I gotta say I loved hearing thoughts. They mentioned something about like hearing Wrecker's thoughts about food and stuff. Like just out of the whole chapter, Wrecker, like, I'm hungry. That mix kind of thing. But the big question,
well, they dropped that Obi-Wan and Anakin one by surprise.
Yeah, that's true. They did.
Maybe this was like a surprise drop that is now out there.
Not a surprise anymore. But the question I'd have is we have the Bad Batch comic book series coming out soon. I think it's next month or early January, February. Yeah. But that definitely takes place during the Clone Wars. I'm kind of curious where Sanctuary takes place. They say Sanctuary, that kind of reminds you of Pabu, the sanctuary place that they live. So I don't know, is this post Bad Batch or is this during it's like a midquel in the Bad Batch series? I don't know, but I'm interested to see where it takes place. Especially because if it is post Bad Batch, maybe post Bad Batch, pre epilogue to Bad Batch with the older Omega, maybe. What does that mean as far as the future of Bad Batch? That's the question. Like, are they done? Is this their way of saying they're not coming back in any way, shape, or form? Because We don't know what the next animated series is. We mentioned Asajj as being someone. And if Asajj takes place post Bad Batch, would Bad Batch possibly make an appearance there? I don't know. It's interesting to see where this goes in. Sometimes you get this idea like keeping the book separate from the comics and the animated shows and the TV shows. They a lot sometimes keep those things separate in terms of, well, they got to tell their story here, tell their story there. Like the fact we're getting Acolyte novels now is kind of like, well, we know we're not getting the Acolyte back, so we're getting Acolyte novels now. They're going to finish the story there. I mean, a lot of different things, a lot of different questions come up. But what are your thoughts? Are you excited about a Bad Batch book? What do you want to see?
I'm excited. I've just had a look on the Penguin House link for this. It comes out 4 days before my birthday. I'm pretty happy about that.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I'm hesitant to think it would be post because that means them telling a story without tech. And I'm not sure. I think if they want to tell more stories about the Bad Batch, I think they would want to like tell the stories of the whole team.
Yeah.
Have the whole team involved. It's not me saying I'd be opposed to like post Bad Batch show stories.
Right.
But personally, I would rather get more because for what we did get of tech, it still wasn't much.
Huh?
So and especially Echo as well. Echo's not with them at the end of the show. So,
but he's alive, so he could definitely appear.
He's alive, but like we didn't get a lot of him,
right?
Like deep into his character as part of the team, as part of Clone Force 99. He was always just there to be Echo.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I get what you're saying. Absolutely. It does depend if the story ends up telling some more of that Clone Rebellion story. That could be where the Bad Batch, Echo, and Rex all come together again, potentially. But you're not wrong. I think it probably does make sense to do, if they wanted to really hit home, they could kind of tell a story from like season 1 era where the whole team is together, maybe except for Crosshair at that point. Then you get Omega at that point potentially involved, which they might want to push an Omega agenda potentially. You could still have Crosshair make an appearance because you could have a time where Crosshair and them, Crosshair tracked them down or something, but like just didn't get told animated for whatever reason.
I want that first mission. Yeah. Like let's see the formation of the Bad Batch.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool for sure. Either way, I'm excited. August 5th, I'm definitely reading all my Star Wars stuff. I am almost on phase 3 of the High Republic. I just started Mission to Disaster. No. What's the one I started? I can always get the titles. Was it Mission to Disaster? Oh, Midnight Horizon. I finished Mission to Disaster. Okay. I just started Midnight Horizon. That's the one I just started. Which means I'm close to done with the phase 2. And phase 3 will start soon enough, and I can't wait to do that. And hopefully, I'll be there just in time to finish up the High Republic with everyone else and go.
Phase 3. Oh my god, it's so good.
I'm looking forward to it for sure.
So good so far.
And all right, next up we got. Here's an interesting interview. Vulture had an interview with some Disney execs, and they mentioned it was like their first official.
Vulture.
It's a magazine New York now. They're pretty well known. They're pretty not well known, but they've been covering like television industries and movie industries for a while now.
Okay.
Variety took their report and reported on it a little bit.
These are the people. I see their videos come up on YouTube quite a lot where they do like the rankings. They do like top 10. So okay. All right. I know who these people are,
So we had an interview with Alan Bergman, who is the co-chairman of Disney Entertainment, and he had interesting points to make. And I kind of want to, even though I was kind of said I was done with the Acolyte discussion, I kind of want to revise some of my thoughts on what happened afterwards. They stated, quote, that the House of Mouse was pleased with how the Acolyte performed in the single season show, but it wasn't enough to justify a follow-up considering the price tag. We were happy with our performance, but it wasn't where we needed it to be given the cost structure of the title, quite frankly, to go and make a season 2. So that's the reason we didn't do that. Skeleton Crew has already, quote, seen growth, according to Bergman, who is hopeful the Jude Law vehicle will fare better, having received excellent reviews since the December 2nd premiere. He also went on to say he teased second seasons for Andor, Ahsoka, and a number of other Star Wars shows that are still under consideration. In terms of what's coming up, we have Andor Season 2, which we're really excited about. It is excellent. I've watched all the episodes, and it is a fantastic season. Then we have Ahsoka Season 2, which Dave Filoni is leading. And then we're looking at a number of additional series that are in development. we'll see what we decide to do. As I said earlier, they have to be great. That was their deciding option. That was their everything's got to be. Everything's been decided on. Is if it's great, they'll do it, and if it's not, they won't. That's in development. A couple of things to unpack. I'm going to first talk about the new stuff happening. I'm glad to see that there's series in development still, because there was that time where we obviously Mando is going to be a movie, and streaming wars have kind of sucked for streaming services, and they were all paring down things, and we know nothing past Ahsoka season 2. We have Andor season 2 and Ahsoka, and that's the only shows we know about. So it's kind of wondering, would there be Star Wars Disney Plus live action shows, or what's going on with that? They are still in development of things. That's a good thing for me. If they're developing them in isolation of themselves, I think that actually could be a good thing too, because Skeleton Crew has been completely isolated. It is in the Mandoverse. We may yet see a connection, a connective tissue, but I think the connective tissue is secondary to the quality of the show that we're getting, which I think is the important distinction. A lot of times, sometimes, like going back to the old cliche of Universal trying to create the dark monster universe and made that first Mummy movie, and it was all about creating, and like instead of making a good movie, they were trying to do everything else but that. That's the wrong way to do it. Start by having a good, solid show, and if you have some minor connective tissue that can lead you somewhere later on, that's great.
Coolest photograph to never like come to fruition.
Right.
That dark universe with like all the actors there, like TC Legend and everyone there. Just
Russell Crowe. Yeah, didn't happen. But so that actually sounds good to me. I'm happy to see that we're still in development of things. I mean, it's not like they had to say anything, and so it's not like they're just like someone goes, "Well, are you doing more TV?" Well, we're doing some things. It kind of seemed like he offered up the idea. We're still developing these other things we got going on. We're just not ready to announce them yet, and good for them. So I like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Give me more.
Okay.
Stop. You keep saying like they're under consideration. I consider something and start making it. And let me tell you where you can start. You can start by lowering the budget, lowering how much you spend. Because if you were, I mean, I'm just going to jump ahead unless you had any other thoughts on this.
No, go ahead, because there's an interesting sidebar. I don't have the news source in front of me, but there's another news bit that's going to be related to what you're about to say, I think. Go ahead.
PLD, if I take you out to a nice steak dinner, right? And it's an expensive steak dinner. We eat it and we're full. And we're like, that was the greatest steak I ever had. They come out and they say, would you two like anything for dessert? We look at that dessert menu and we're like, I really want it, but like my pocketbook can't justify it. We could have easily have sat in at your place, ordered a good pizza, watched a movie for considerably cheaper, still had a great time, if not probably a better time. So to me, that sounds like a you problem. You are not managing your money correctly. Right. Because if you're happy with it, if you were pleased by what it did, why'd you can it?
Right.
If you canned it because of, well, apparently, according to the VP of Disney, they were pleased with its results. The issue was the cost for what it was. Well, here's a solution. Stop spending so much fucking money.
I don't disagree. I want to stop you right there, because part of it has to do with things I said before. I was very adamant being on the side of, well, it's very easy why it didn't happen, because it was costing too much and blah, blah, blah. However, I will say, after the deadline report that came out, and our production quarterly cost Disney $645 million for 2 seasons.
Christ.
More than The Rise of Skywalker. And yeah, so 2 seasons at $645 million. Now, granted, more episodes than The Acolyte. 12 episodes versus, I think it was 8, right? It was 8, right? 8? Yeah. 8. And that's 2 seasons, so whatever. Either way, so it seems like this is what the Disney budget had been. And yet we're getting a season 2 of Andor. Granted, we had the deal already in place, it seems like. We were just at 5 seasons, then we went down to 2 seasons. I mean, that's part of it. Secondly, of course, we got the very, very critically acclaimed Andor, which does work in Andor's favor beyond viewership because it gets people talking about the show, awards get people talking about the show, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that budget obviously wasn't as big of a deal as I maybe thought it did. So, yes, we could have just gone to a second season with lesser money. But I do think now that what some of our friends have said and what I initially was kind of like I wasn't pushing back on. It's like they have their opinions and everything else, but I kind of was going more towards the business side of things. I think it's more honest the idea that they weren't giving in to the red eye toxic fan base. It wasn't like we know you don't like it, so we're going to kowtow towards you. I think it was more the idea of like there's a lot of negativity in the press. There's a lot of negativity going on around about this show. It's not necessarily what they're saying. It's the fact that became the discussion. The discussion was we had people hating it and negativity to the point where like the normies, as I would call them, people who aren't Star Wars fans, who aren't in the space like that, like we are, for example, they just said, "Oh, I heard that show sucked. So I'm not gonna watch it. I heard that show sucked, fucking kind of thing." Whereas Andor, even with the lesser amount of views, I heard, "Oh, I heard people really like that one. Let's go check this out. Oh, season 2's coming. We're going to go back and rewatch season 1 to get into it." Yeah. So unfortunately, Disney is being a little being cowards. They're saying, you know what, we're going to just wipe this off our back because we don't want this to be the talk of Star Wars. And that's unfortunate and that's sad. It's still from a business point understandable. Unfortunately, I understand it. But I think it's cowardly.
But that business decision is ultimately on them because they could also turn around and say, okay, we could do a second season, but maybe let's just not spend as much money.
I would feel better about that. I'd feel better about them giving a final movie wrap-up kind of thing to the people who loved it, at least, something to that effect. Or maybe the smart decision is to retool it. Retool it, like tell a story, just start a new series, something else that like continues the story, the Khmer show, I don't know, whatever, Khmer and Plague show kind of thing. Just retool a little bit of it and try again and try something else. And honestly, but at the same time, lower the budget. Lower
the budget. I mean, bless Manny, he's out there trying.
Right, absolutely.
He's out there trying. I don't see any of the other actors out there, being the one to say, look, we've got another shot. Right. It's mostly him.
Yeah.
And Lee Jung-jae, which a lot of Lee Jung-jae's criticisms of the fan base I thought were absolutely valid.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
He was attacked a lot for his performance.
Right.
And people don't understand that this is a man that English isn't his first language.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you expect him to be like Hiroyuki Sanada, who, although his first language isn't English, he has a grasp of it to the point where he can speak it fluently and confidently.
100%. So, yeah. So again, it is what it is. I do think it's something I'm just wanted to touch base on because I want to kind of admit that maybe not that I was wrong, but I definitely was not looking as deep as I could. I was kind of not excusing things, but I wasn't looking at all the angles as much as
I don't think you were wrong too. I think you have a keen eye in the business decision side of things, and I think that is the right thing to raise, and a lot of it is very valid. There were people on the side of the acolyte being, a little too heavy-handed with this, saying that it's down to racists and misogynists getting their own way, which I don't. If Disney constantly caved to that, they would. Then how many other projects would be getting cancelled? I mean, let's not forget Walt Disney himself was associated with the Nazi Party at one point.
Yeah.
So I don't think, and that's out there and documented, and you don't see Disney being like, no, shut that talk down, like get that documentary off the air. I don't think they're afraid of those people because it's ultimately the Mouse House. They don't care. They got more money than God.
Right.
So I don't think you were wrong to raise it. I do think you did raise very valid points. But
Appreciate that.
as ultimately with these things,
I appreciate
it always goes deeper than we understand, because it's like we talk about, we're not there. We don't work for Lucasfilm. So how the hell could we possibly know?
And that's true. And it's true. I always want to try to make it so I see every side of things and give every side their due. And I did go as much as I could have. That's all. I don't think I was necessarily wrong, but I just think there's definitely, there's more nuance to the discussion than I had initially allowed it to be.
That's what you got me for.
My own head. That's what I got you for. That's right. All right, I got one last bit of news before we wrap up the show today. Interesting bit. Again, this is more of a rumor, so this is more like, toss of salt kind of thing. Everything else, according to Jeff Snyder in Snyder, and also the Direct, it's potentially possible that The Mandalorian might still get a season 4. Initially, the report was that they had pivoted and Mandalorian season 4 became The Mandalorian Grogu. And the thought process at that point was it was replacing season 4 and then The Mandalorian would be done. The report now is stating that according to the report from Dean Snyder, The Mandalorian season 4 may not be dead at Disney Plus. He noted that the follow-up remains, quote, in development for streaming, but obviously The Mandalorian and Grogu would arrive first in theaters. It does contradict the earlier report, which indicated they are just pivoting into a 4th season. The interesting thing about that is, if that's true, let's operate under the fact that this is true, that there's going to be Mandalorian season 4.
Okay.
Does that mean that The Mandalorian and Grogu did get its own script and did a whole new story? Because the pivot idea, like the streaming consciousness, thought of consciousness, was that Mandalorian had season 4 because it was written at that point. We had already talked about that at one point, that John and Dave had written season 4. They pivoted it, and that they had perhaps streamlined it into a movie. Is that the case still, or is it the case where we pushed it aside, wrote something different for Mando and Grogu, and season 4 is still going to be done as originally intended, potentially? I don't know. I will say I kind of hope it's true, because I love the idea of getting us more Mando on Disney Plus. I like the Mandalorian show. I love it. I love getting I love getting a big movie as well, though. So I personally like the idea of, let's write a Mando and Grogu movie instead of having to try to truncate a season down into a movie, because that's always tricky when you change things from what they're usually intended to be. That's where we always kind of like, sometimes, a lot of times it goes the other way around. They have like a movie that they try to expand out into a TV show. I've talked about that plenty of times, especially in Star Wars. The Obi-Wan series was something that exactly was that. It went from a movie to a TV series, and kind of felt at times like maybe a streamlining would have been good for it.
Yeah.
I'd rather have, let's write a movie, let's write a TV show. So I would love that idea. So I'm not 50-50 on whether it's accurate or not. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, Snyder's getting sloppy in his old age, because I'm pretty sure Favreau said this. I'm 70% sure that Favreau or Filoni, one of the two, came out and said, just because this is a movie doesn't mean that this is the end of the story for The Mandalorian. I'm pretty sure we talked about that.
Well, but I think the idea of that quote could have meant that there could be more Mandalorian movies.
Right. Okay.
Like, that wasn't the end of the stories for The Mandalorian. We weren't like ending with a movie. We just were pivoting to movies instead of, because the scuttlebutt from, again, nothing official, was that they didn't want The Mandalorian because we're going away from streaming series as it was. We need a Star Wars. They want a Star Wars movie back in theaters. So let's take the hottest property we have, which is probably Grogu and The Mandalorian and Grogu, get them into the theaters, and they'll be our movie base, and then we can do other stuff on Disney Plus, kind of thing. That was kind of the mindset. Now, if we're going to do everything, do movie and then back to TV, it will be interesting to see like a TV show, movie kind of thing. Maybe that's the route for the future for them.
I'm pretty sure that's what Favreau said is going to be happening. I don't have the article there, but I'm pretty sure we talked. Pretty sure I've had this conversation with you about us being like, what?
Because I remember the quote. If I remember the quote correctly, again, I don't have it in front of me either. I thought the quote said something effective of Jon Favreau saying, "Yeah, we had an idea for Mandalorian season 4. We decided to do a movie instead." And that was the quote I remember saying.
I specifically remember a line saying, this is not the end of the story for the Mandalorian."
Right. But that's not saying that this is not the end of the series. That's saying that's not the end of the story for the Mandalorian in general. He could be in movie. He could be in, obviously, we're getting the Dave Filoni Mandoverse movie, as what had been said before. So his story wouldn't end there either, kind of thing, potentially. So I don't know. We're going to see.
I thought that was already like what Favreau had said, and this was maybe Snyder just throwing something out there to like
maybe
get a click or two. I don't know. I might be wrong, but I'm like 70% sure that you and I had that. This is why I stayed like oddly quiet while you were going through that instead of like chipping in, because I was like, okay, so where's the scoop? Where the scoop's coming? When's it going to be coming? But yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week, folks. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll be back talking more Skeleton Crew. And I think we're going to have to do at some point, either separately or maybe part of our show, we'll have a bigger show where we do the best of 2024, our favorite 20 bits of 2024 from Star Wars. Look forward to 2025 at Star Wars. See, we got to talk about then as well. Maybe that'd be some topics of discussion to come up. I know a little bit later. Usually a lot of people would do that this week. This is our last show in December. We probably should have done the best of 2024 now, but we're a little slow.
Well, I'm going to ask you your one thing. Just give me one thing. It doesn't have to be the thing you're looking for too much. Thing you're looking for. It's something in Star Wars you're looking forward to
in 2025. My favorite, my most anticipated 2025.
No, your most. Just give me one. Just give me one of anything. It doesn't have to be the most. Just give me
anything. Okay.
Mine's Visions.
Probably Visions. Mine's Andor. I think at this point, Andor. Especially hopefully the Gorman Massacre. That's what I'm really hoping for.
Okay.
Sure.
My vision, because I watched Akira yesterday, and I'm like,
nice.
Now that Star Wars is going back to anime, like,
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to that too, for sure. So, all right. Where can the folks find you, Matty?
You can find me at Matty Morner, spelled that way for the people watching. You can find my band Morner, Mourner. I'm back in the studio in 2 weeks for our first EP, which is going to be dropping. I have no idea when, but yeah, on all streaming services. And you can find me here every week for Holy Snokes and every month now for Class Action.
Class Action Live, that's right. You can find me at Blue Sky, Paul Deluzio, bluesky.social. I've been loving the sky a lot. Very, very peaceful over there. Very fun.
The sky is a peaceful place when you don't have a lot of the pollution.
It is, exactly. I like that a lot. Find me all over this channel, of course, every week on Holy Snokes, every week generally on Crown Jewel, which is on my sister YouTube channel, PLD Projects Crown Jewels, all the same audio feeds everywhere. I'll be back in January for that review. Lego and I are going to be doing more review soon. Hopefully she got ill, so we couldn't do it. We're recording our next episode. Should come out on January 1st. That'll be our next episode of review. And we got more review to do, I guess, because Big Finish Audio has decided to release a V Audio reboot audio production with Kenneth Johnson, the creator who we interviewed on the channel earlier, is involved. He's involved in the story. It's going to be basically a remake of his original miniseries from the 80s, set in London now, because that's where Big Finish is set out of. Same
London?
Characters. Your London, that's right.
Okay.
But similar characters. Diana is still the visitor leader. Julie Parrish is still the resistance leader. Mike Donovan, who is got changed from a news cameraman to a documentary filmmaker, but he's still doing his thing. I'm very interested to see what Big Finish does. They do a great job with the Doctor Who sets, so interested to see what happens for sure on that. And what else I do? Okay, I've got 2 Miracle Dudes on film. Me and PJ doing Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. After that, we're gonna jump on to Superman, building up for the James Gunn movie. We're all very excited about that, and a lot of things we're going to talk about. We have a lot of franchises we're going to do there. Back to the Future at some point. Ghostbusters at some point. We're going to start the MCU Phase 1 at some point. And then, yes, Class Action Live will be back next month, end of the month, January, Monday. I believe it's the 27th?
7th, I think, yeah.
That could be. Yeah, Monday, January 27th will be that day. Those are kind of random days we're going to do. I think we've decided on, I'll announce it here. I'll say it here. Don't hold me to it. We might be doing Dune 2 versus Empire Strikes Back, both the second parts of the trilogy, and that would be a phenomenal battle if it does come to that. We'll see for sure.
Not as easy as I thought it would be when I first proposed the idea, because then I thought about it. I was like, oh, yeah. I don't know if, like, if Dune Part 2 wins, I don't know if we can go on hosting a Star Wars podcast.
Well, it depends on who voted for what. That's all I got to say about that. Anyway.
I might be out of a job.
That's right. You might be out of a job. But we will see you next time. Thank you so much. As always, much love. And to everybody out there, hope you have a happy holiday, happy end of the year, and a happy new year as well. Until then.
May the force be with you. Always.